Hey everybody, welcome to Per Diem's weekly webinar. This week we're going to talk about how you can hack third-party delivery apps with first-party ordering. I'm Tomer Molovinsky. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Per Diem, and it is September 4th. The kids are back in school and football season starts tomorrow. Let's get right into it. And it's not 2025. I don't know why that says that. Uh, in terms of the agenda today, we'll talk about the benefits of using delivery apps, some of the top features there, and then the third party versus first party ordering, highlighting white label websites, specifically from Uber and DoorDash. And then we'll talk about our integration with both of these players, and then also like in-house delivery and just certain trends that we're seeing in delivery as far as like first party delivery. So yeah, in terms of an overview, DoorDash holds the largest market share. Uber Eats coming in at 23%. So between the two of them, they're pretty dominant. And this has really risen over time, especially the last 5 years or so, and especially since the pandemic. Uber Eats has stayed rather consistent at that like quarter of the market, but DoorDash's share has grown pretty dramatically. And that's probably, I would assume Grubhub and a few of the earlier Postmates and the like, which now are kind of a part of DoorDash or Uber Eats. There's been a lot of conglomerates. So in terms of the benefits, they both have massive networks. DoorDash with over 32 million monthly active users. So that's definitely the biggest. But Uber's obviously they have their ride sharing, so they have gajillions of users from ride sharing as well. So being able to tap into that network is very valuable. I think the problem that's been up until now is that restaurants and more cafes haven't necessarily been able to tap into this in a way that they can turn a profit. And so I think part of this webinar is to show you guys how maybe you can implement some strategies that can help you take advantage of this network, but then also help that transfer into your first party as well. And both of them have integrations with Square. So obviously Per Diem works with Square. And then, obviously I think DoorDash and Uber Eats, they have their side tablets, and we've gotten used to walking into places and seeing them have like a million tablets. But more and more, as merchants like you have wanted things kind of centralized, whether it's in like your kitchen display system, but nonetheless, DoorDash orders you can have them go directly in through Square. Same for Uber Eats, or you could still use. I know a lot of people that still use the tablet for accepting orders. Totally up to you. And then you'll see just on this chart here, DoorDash's market share, as I mentioned, how it's continued to just go up, even as we see across Uber Eats back in 2019. But yeah, according to DoorDash, restaurants on their platform see an average increase in sales of 20 to 30%. Of course, you have to offset that with the commissions that you're going to have to pay them. So again, I think the thought, you can't be thinking of this necessarily as something where you're going to really break the bank in terms of profitability. What you have to think about this is as a user acquisition channel. And then you need to think about how you can bring, that 20 to 30%, because you're paying 20 to 30% too. So in order to make that profitable, how do you bring it to your own channel where you're not paying 20 to 30%? So my advice typically, even though we've had a lot of merchants that are some merchants that have just totally said no at all to third-party delivery apps, what I generally tell people is do them and then do a good job of promoting ways that they can come over to your own app. And so, and especially if you already offer delivery, and then you have your loyalty program, you can do incentivized store credit. You have all kinds of other twists in the app that you can do to bring people to order from you instead of ordering directly from the DoorDash app. And keep in mind, a lot of the reason that people are going there, like I know in my DoorDash app, it's simply easier for me to order from certain places than going to their website, or they don't have an app. So people really just are ordering from there a lot of times for the convenience. And so if you have an equally or even more convenient way to let them do that, then all the better for you, and you're going to end up profiting from that. And I'll show you a few case studies later on of people that are doing exactly that. So in terms of some of the top app features, search and personalization, this is really relevant. And this is where the big network comes in, because the way these like algorithms work is they offer you like personalized recommendations. And so what they're able to do is, hey, Tomer, you order from this place, you order from this Korean place, and you order salads. Okay, people in your area that order from that Korean place and order salads, they also order from these different places. So they're going to suggest those to you. And then they're going to, and they have tons of data, so they can use that to give you really good suggestions. And this is just like the modern apparatus of the way that most apps work today. In your own app, this is probably less important because you're going to have a more selected item. You're not competing against other restaurants there. So part of obviously the search and personalization is like, hey, what do you want? If you're going to DoorDash in the morning, it might be more for like an order ahead coffee, or you're getting like croissants delivered, or like a whatever, versus like in the evening, you're looking for dinner, maybe you want to get sushi, whatever. So based on those, they can personalize. But if you have your own app and your menu's already kind of tailored to those things, then obviously like, one of the nice things of having your own app is people can jump the whole discovery thing because they've already discovered your place. They have your app, they're a huge fan of yours, and they can just, and at that point, you can just highlight what you want to highlight. And we have features to make that available in the app. Real-time tracking. So this is really useful. And you can see, I think Uber Eats, they saw a 25% increase in customer satisfaction once they implemented like enhanced tracking. I think you can also like text your driver, stuff like that. So you can see that's really big. I saw some other statistics around DoorDash where as they've been working with this, it's been steadily improving over and over, and just working out the kinks in the process. Same deal in your own app. You can users can track the delivery. They'll get text messages, they'll get push notifications as well with status updates. So that's pretty similar. But nonetheless, this is kind of built in, and it is a nice feature, even though the order times are usually like a little bit off. And then we talked about it, but just like the carousels and personalizing these carousels. So, hey, you ordered from Drake's, great. What are the closest shops to you? Other suggestions like ones you've been to. So this is where, if you are in a certain area and you have a lot of reviews on DoorDash or Uber Eats, then you're going to start, being highlighted here more and more. And so that is the benefit. That's where the user acquisition comes in. And then you can see if it's a personalized carousel, then it's converting a lot higher because it speaks to me. If you're just showing something that I don't eat, then, obviously it's a much lower likelihood of me converting. Seamless payment options. And this is really where DoorDash and Uber Eats, I think, differentiate between a lot of the website ordering platforms, and why just having first-party ordering from your website isn't enough. Because it's really the seamless payment. I don't have to log into your website and I forgot my password and whatever, and go through that whole signing up, and that's a whole ordeal. But it's really like that you could just like tap Apple Pay and done. That's really the magic. And so that's the magic that we've also created in Per Diem, in our apps that we build for you guys. And you can see digital wallets, Apple Pay, Google Pay. We see, Apple Pay just in the US, it's about 10x more prevalent than Google Pay, just because like penetration is about that. At least that's what we're seeing in our numbers. But nonetheless, both of them are super useful. And then just eliminate that friction of having to add your credit card, adding those 16 digits, putting in that CVV number, entering your date. Again, these are like rich world problems, but when you want people to order coffee from you, those are your problems. And so making sure that you have a seamless option. This is really where I think the apps really differentiate themselves from whatever website you have, is generally it's just a lot more convenient to order from the apps. And so that's why we've replicated a lot of this in our mobile apps. Dash Pass. So subscriptions, they're big, and you can see Dash Pass members order 3x more often than non-subscribers, and then their average order value is going up because they're getting this value. Look, they tend to be the power users too. So sometimes those numbers with the order value, you got to like take it with a grain of salt. But nonetheless, it's a good program, and once people are in the program, they're going to obviously order more. But you guys know that you're kind of footing the bill on a lot of this, so it's a great incentive for people that are using DoorDash, especially if they're using it a lot. But obviously people that use it, they're going to end up ordering a lot more from DoorDash. That's a no-brainer. We've built subscriptions on our side, kind of. It doesn't work the same way. I mean, you can incentivize people around delivery. Our subscriptions are more a monthly fee, and then people can get either like discounts or free items or other perks in the app. So let's look at third party versus first party ordering and just breaking down the cost. First party ordering, you can see this isn't baked into the cost necessarily, but has a loyalty attachment rate of 41% compared to 3%. That means they're just going to be, people are going to be, if they're ordering from you for a third party app, they're going to be less loyal to you specifically and just more loyal to the app. Obviously one more reason to invest in first party ordering. And so just jumping into the website. So I mentioned there's a ton of websites out there today. Anybody that comes to us, people ask us to build their websites all the time, but we've refused to get into that business because we want to focus on building the best mobile apps in the world. And there's plenty of great players that are building amazing websites. And so here you can see both Uber Direct and DoorDash Storefront. These are products that they've released in the last few years to great success. There are many others out there, Square Online, obviously, which has a direct integration with everything you're doing on Square. And then I know a lot of Square merchants use Squarespace, use Wix. So you can use other platforms as well. But I think these, specifically DoorDash Storefront and Uber Direct, have been catered more to the delivery use case, even though they do support pickup as well. So in terms of storefront, you can see restaurants pay 2.9% and 30 cents. So there's no processing. I'm sorry, that's the processing, and there's no commission on your sales. So similar to Per Diem, there's just going to be a delivery fee. And by default, the delivery fee is going to be paid by the end user. And you can play around with that as well in DoorDash Storefront. And then Uber has a little bit of a different approach around, how it works, but you can see it's more or less based on delivery, right? So they want to help you get those deliveries. They have this massive fleet of drivers, and so offering it from your website as well as from the Uber Eats or the DoorDash app is kind of helps them out a lot, because then they can. There's a lot of I would say like latent time out there where where drivers aren't being utilized. So the more orders they get through the system, obviously this is good for them. So websites are great, and we talk about them a lot. But the reality is that you can't really level up to where DoorDash, the app, or Uber Eats, or if you want to compare to Starbucks or Sweetgreen, through a website. And we've talked about that a lot. There are multiple reasons. One time you log in on your phone, one time you're on your desktop, different password, you got to reset it. It's just kind of a little bit of a drag. So, one of the biggest benefits of an app is like, it's super easy. You're just an SMS and you're in to the app. And so there's no friction around signing up. Once you're signed in, you really never have to log in again. It's just a tap away on your home screen. So it's just so much more easier to access. So that's one reason why websites on their own can't level up, even though, DoorDash and Uber are giving you really nice websites that are essentially free. But that's a big reason why. And then also the seamless payment. We talked about that before, but paying with Apple Pay or like using store credit really works. We have more than 60% of transactions that we see in our apps happen through Apple Pay. And I think that number is just going up more and more. And moreover, they're basically fraud free. So people, because Apple Pay has two-factor authentication, people can't just cycle through different credit cards like they do with most fraud. We sit on top of all of Square's fraud detection, and you can play with the different risk levels in the app itself and make limits there. But that's another reason to have Apple Pay. And most websites that I've seen, they still stick to like the old school credit card entry, which is just a drag. Think about it. You're checking out, you're in a hurry. you know, you got somewhere to go, and now you got to pull out your credit card and enter in this number. And then once that credit card expires, you know, you got to go, and that's going to be such a pain. You know, it's always at the most inconvenient time. Again, these are rich world problems, but like in today's world, it's just better not to have to deal with them. And so Apple Pay, you don't really have to deal with that. And so that's built in. And you can see here, in terms of the numbers, 92% of consumers prefer to use a restaurant's own app or website for delivery. So if you offer it, why not? Reduction in fees. So we talked about it. You know, it costs more or less 30%, you know, to order from the marketplaces. But I think you got to look at it like this. Let's say your average order, typically delivery orders, I should say, are actually higher in value as well. So let's say your average delivery order is like $30, right? You're paying the commissions on those 30% for the first year. You're paying, that's a hefty fee, right? That's like $10 an order or something like that. Maybe not quite that. Maybe it's like between 5 and 8, let's say, okay? Let's say you pay that a few times. Let's say I order from you a few times, and then but each time you keep putting a little postcard in my bag that says, you know, hey, download our app. It's got a QR code. We give you these postcards when you launch. You know, maybe there's like a little promo there. Get $5 off your first order, get 10 extra points off your first order if you're doing Square Loyalty. Okay, now I'm going to download your app, and I'm going to get delivered through you. And instead of that 30% fee, we charge a $1 platform fee for deliveries, which you can pass to the end user. And there's a delivery fee associated that, again, you can pass to the end user. So by default, you're not paying any of those fees. Your prices are more or less the same that they are on the marketplaces anyhow, because it's the dirtiest hidden secret out there that everybody's raising their prices on these platforms to accommodate for the commission bump, or the commissions that you have to pay. So your prices are artificially low, or they're just lower once they're in your app. So net, let's say you get 3 orders from me, you paid $30, or let's say you paid $20 overall for those, but then I download your app. Okay. Now this is where these networks actually make sense. I download your app. Now I'm going to order actually a lot more from you because I have your app. It's one tap away. It's so easy. I'm not going to order through DoorDash. Those orders are going directly through you, and you're not paying that $6 or $7. So like, you just acquired me as a customer for $15 to $20, and now I'm ordering directly from your app for the rest of my life, hopefully, you know, because hey, why not? That's a great deal. That's how you take this, and you can really get to like elements of hyper growth, especially if you have a busy, you know, a big business, just by taking those third-party networks, taking those new users you acquire, converting them to your own channel, and then boom, you would do that all day. If you can pay $15 and be guaranteed that you're going to have that customer for a good amount of time, I guarantee you, if you're doing if you're doing what you're doing, then those people are going to come back more frequently. And it's just a net win overall. So that's kind of what I tell people. You don't have to turn off, if you're doing delivery through your own website, through your own app, you don't have to turn off the marketplaces. You can force people, if you have that type of presence and you have a big email list and you have that level of popularity, you can turn it off completely. But typically what I tell people is like, utilize them and then convert them to your own channel. And you have, you know, if you're doing Square Loyalty, you have a loyalty program, you have other things that you can use, other levers that you can use in order to get people to order directly from you. And exactly that, Square Loyalty. So that's one of the big pieces you have. You know, DoorDash has Dash Pass, but hey, people are getting points, you know, if they're using Square Loyalty. So you can leverage that, you know, so if I get delivery from you, I'm getting extra points. Great. I have an incentive. Even if it's not like I'm getting $1 million from you, there's that incentive, there's that perk. Oh, cool, I'm going to get the extra so-and-so, the extra baked ziti. Amazing. And so, yes, Square Loyalty works, and in the sense of delivery as well. Automated order status notifications. So once people get delivery, as I mentioned, they'll get text messages both from us, and if DoorDash is doing the delivery, they'll get them from DoorDash. sorry, they'll get push notification from Per Diem. So it'll come from your cafe, from your restaurant. And then if you open that push notification, you'll also see the real-time order tracking. But in addition to that, DoorDash themselves sends an SMS to the user with a link to like a web page with the real-time order tracking. So whether they're tracking in the app or they're tracking on a web page, they'll have that in the app. And you can see 68% open rate for order notifications, a 15% boost within 7 days. If people aren't tapping these and they're getting these later on, it's a nice reminder as they're going through their notifications, and maybe they'll put in another order. You never know. So you can see app retention 35% higher for users that have push notifications enabled. Most people that are going to have your app are going to enable push notifications. If I have like a news app, maybe I don't, because I don't want to be buzzed with everything, every crazy news story that's going on. But if it's my order, if it's my coffee, it's my delivery, then those are things that I do want to get, a push notification about. And so, so yeah, hence the high open rates. In-house delivery. So in addition to offering DoorDash Drive, which is, their essentially first-party delivery that we offer through the app, you can do in-house delivery. So you can essentially, if you have your own delivery partner, you can essentially farm out delivery to them. You could probably save a little bit, and you'd have a greater control. Like, if it's a local courier, then maybe there's something special that you need, or maybe like you're doing catering, and and you just want to have your own kind of team that you've vetted. I should say DoorDash has been a great partner, and they have reach pretty much everywhere in the US, which has been amazing. It doesn't matter where you are. But nonetheless, there are still advantages to doing in-house delivery. So you could just turn this on. When you do turn it on, you're going to have to turn on email, because the way we alert the third-party delivery company is through the user's email. We're going to end up CCing or BCCing them on like the receipt email that's going to have the delivery information. Most third-party delivery couriers work that way, so they know. They have like a parser, so they know how to parse those inbound emails, and that'll kind of like do the delivery process. So yeah, it gives you greater control. You're going to be saving maybe like 15 to 20% just on the delivery fees. So maybe you can have a little bit in terms of pricing, a little bit more. You can give that back to the end user, or you can take that in for you. And then you're going to own that data. So you're going to own that data in Per Diem as well. But obviously, you're not going to be sharing that data, I should say, with a third party. So totally up to you if you want to roll with in-house delivery. We have a few people that are doing it. They tend to do like more catering. So I think it's kind of premised on that, where they have these bigger catering orders. And that's where having greater control over the experience, I think, kind of matters. Maybe if you have like this nice platter and a big business client, you might not just want to put it in like, a DoorDash delivery. You might want someone who you vetted. Doe & Co. So Doe & Co. is one of those companies that's interesting. They've, obviously they're a pizza place. They do really well with the app. 57% of their total sales through the app are delivery, even though it's probably about like 35% of their total orders. But as I mentioned before, what's interesting, and I see this trend not just in Doe & Co., but in other stores that we operate, pickups tend to be they tend to be not about 50% less. So basically, there's a 50% average order value increase for deliveries over pickups. And there can be a million reasons for this. When I'm ordering a delivery, maybe it's more for the family versus just for me. Maybe it's office settings more often, stuff like that. But nonetheless, what I was getting into is Doe & Co. is actually totally abandoned the third-party marketplaces. They're only offering delivery from the app. And it's working for them. They have a great brand. They're able to do this. And they've just chosen that, they don't want to pay that whatever percent tax that they were paying. And so now everything just goes through the app. They own everything. And hey, it seems to be working for them. They're doing really well with the app. So again, if you do have that brand and you've got a great product like these guys do, then that's certainly something you can test. But again, I generally tell people, hey, keep the marketplaces on and then just try to convert them. But whatever, you guys know your business the best. Joni, so they're a cafe. You wouldn't think that, cafes would be really crushing it in terms of deliveries, but they're doing 15% of their total app sales via delivery. I see we have a bunch of large cookie chains as well. They do about 20%. Same trends. Actually, I see delivery orders are about 2x the value of the pickup orders. So again, same deal, larger orders, bigger parties, stuff like that. So that on its own could be a reason to want to offer delivery. It's like maybe you're tapping into like a new demographic that does tend to have these like larger order sizes. So nonetheless, Joni's, they're in right outside of Nashville. But yeah, they do really well. I mean, they do a ton of pickups. So it's interesting. I mentioned it's 2x the AOV, but they're actually doing 10x the pickup orders. So they still, most people are getting pickup. They do a lot of delivery. Most people are, it's coffee, it's sandwiches, stuff like that. But so 10x the orders are pickup, but in terms of the value, it's 2x to delivery. Food for thought. Chip City. So I mentioned Uber Eats. DoorDash is our preferred partner, but we do have another partnership with Uber Eats. And so if you have an exclusive partnership with Uber Eats, then you're able to leverage that. Otherwise, DoorDash is our preferred partner in the US. And so you would default to DoorDash delivery. But like I said, they have great coverage, and so no issues there. But if you have an exclusive partnership with Uber Eats, we will respect that and turn on Uber Eats for you. It'll be through the app again. So keep in mind, whatever you have set up with them today, it would be a separate kind of app only integration. Chocopan, they're a French bakery, not too far from where I am. They're in Hoboken in New Jersey, and they are doing third-party delivery. So, like I said, they do a lot of catering. And so having more control over that, putting together these platters and stuff like that, and obviously controlling costs. So that's working really well for Chocopan. We basically, in order to set this up, we got to change the onboarding flow of the app to add email. So when people are signing up, they'll have to add their email address and confirm it. And then once we have their email address, we're going to BCC their delivery partner on all the delivery orders, and that'll create the courier and creates a ticket and all that stuff. So yeah, that's working well for them. If you have that set up, you're able to do it. I would say it's not as good in the onboarding process because of the emails. Sorry, I have to take a drink. Because you have to collect the email, so it adds a little bit of friction. But again, if it's core to your business and you really want to own the delivery part of things, then you should do it. Tika Shack. So Tika Shack, they have an interesting delivery setup where they kind of want to compete with the marketplaces, because a lot of times, even though you're marking up your prices on the marketplaces, a lot of the times they still, they tout free delivery and stuff like that. So as opposed to the base delivery that people get, which is anywhere from $7 to $10 usually, is what the DoorDash or Uber delivery charges are, at least from what I've seen. Then Tika Shack does it where they pay the end user is only paying $2.99. Tika Shack pays the rest of it, whether it's $5, $6, $7 extra. But then Tika Shack adds a service fee on all delivery fees in the app. So they kind of make that back on the service fee. And they're really just doing this because they want to promote a low delivery fee from first party ordering. So interesting strategy. Square Online, you can set it up similar way if you wanted to set it up that way. And I'm sure I'm not certain, but I'd assume that on DoorDash storefront, you could also play with the dials if you wanted to incentivize part of the delivery as well. So yeah, we're going to jump right into a demo. I think in terms of, we'll start with just how you would set up delivery, and then I'll jump right into just showing you the app and showing you how delivery would work in the app itself. So Let me just share another screen here. Okay. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Cool. So in terms of setting up any of the fees related to delivery, once you're in Per Diem and in your dashboard, the service fees, as I mentioned, like Tika Shack, they charge an extra service fee. So you could do this either in whole dollar amount or you can do this in percentages. And so that's how you would tack that on. You could also waive the service fee altogether if people spend above a certain threshold. So you would set that up in settings. If for delivery itself, you can see here's in our dashboard, we have both DoorDash, Uber Eats, and in-house. You probably wouldn't see Uber Eats unless you have that exclusive partnership with them. So you could see same deal. You can choose to, charge the full DoorDash fee. Here you can see we're waiving it over $30. There's a minimum spend of $20. Or you can do more like the fixed fee where you're saying, hey, $2.99, and then I'll charge the service fee. I generally tell people I recommend to just, push the whole amount, just keep it simple. But that's totally up to you. And then if you want to do the in-house delivery, same deal. You're setting up that, how much are you charging, all that. And then there is an extra setup. So under marketing, you're going to go into emails. And then what you're going to do is you're going to have to blind copy vendor on all delivery receipt emails. So you're going to have to put in their email address here. And so that's going to make sure that they get those delivery orders. And then on top of that, we're going to have to go again into settings. We're going to have to go into the app features. And then we're going to have to toggle on require email on authentication. And so that's going to basically require that I add an email address when I sign up for the app. And so once that's on, we definitely get your email address or the user's email address. And so then we're able to send that email to your delivery partner. So that's only, again, we don't have many people that do that, but if you did want to turn on in-house delivery, then that's how you would do it. And after that, the only thing you need to do is go into your locations. And so we'll go into our Brooklyn. You can see that delivery is disabled right now for Brooklyn. So all I would need to do is go into that location, go to the delivery tab. By default, you could just say, hey, use the same as my pickup hours. You can also create, if you want to, custom delivery messages. So you could do custom pickup and delivery. But that's it. We're going to go ahead and save it. And so now we're offering delivery. As long as delivery is turned on, we're now offering delivery at that location as well. It's as simple as that. I'll just go in right now and show you guys what it looks like in the app. Can you see my phone?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, cool. So actually I just it was a busy day, so I didn't have time to go out for lunch, so I actually just put in an order. This is a place here in Brooklyn. Here you can see I just put in my order, but I'll go ahead and view order, and then I'll be able to track it. And there you can see we have the tracker in the app. And so you could see ETA 241. So he's going to be here. Better wrap up the webinar. And then obviously his phone number is here as well. And so you can see that, but it's a real-time tracker the same way as it is in DoorDash and Uber Eats. And then, as I mentioned, you're going to get notifications from DoorDash itself, from the Dasher. And then you can see how DoorDash is sending, but you're also going to get these push notifications from, I'm going to get these push notifications for you here. So, that'll take me right to the app. And then you saw we have the tracker in the app. But if I was going through DoorDash, basically I'd be tapping there, And then here we can see, and that'll go right into this live tracker as well. Oop. So there we go. Yeah, that's pretty much how that would work in terms of a new order. So let's, there we go. So once the location picker, oops, that's our, once you go into the app, you have the location picker. So you're going to select delivery. I already have a delivery address here, but there's a form, there's just like a Google Map drop down with so it'll autofill the delivery. So great. I already have it saved though. So that's nice. And then we're just going to go in. I'll just go get some, let's see, the omelet. It's not available. Oh, at this location, it's not available. Okay. Let's get a few sandwiches instead. So we crossed that $20 threshold. Delivery time estimated, so it's just right in there. You can see all the delivery will go to the delivery driver. So that's one thing you should note, that once you are doing it through DoorDash and what have you, all that goes directly to the delivery driver. That's it. Then I'm going to be checking out. These are not, you can refund them. You can do it through DoorDash the same way you would refund, you know, any payment. But we do have this disclaimer here just because by the time somebody orders, if that delivery person has already gone out, but nonetheless, they can contact you. You can contact DoorDash if there is an issue, and you can go ahead and deal with that through DoorDash themselves. But we just have that disclaimer in the app. And then here you go. Those are the wrong instructions in terms of delivery. That's just something we don't have set up right. We have a little gamification if anybody spends over $20. So here you can see how that works. Woohoo. And then I'm back, and then you'll see I'll get, I'll just be prompted, and then we can see, and same deal, I'll be able to track my order. So that's it. That's how delivery works. Yeah, and so I think overall, again, the advice that we typically give people is you should leverage these networks. They're massive. They have huge user bases, but just I think that especially as we're moving to a new era, it's all about convenience today. So having your own app, it is the mother of all conveniences, and so you want to have that as a tool in your toolkit. And by doing so, you'll make DoorDash, Uber Eats, whatever you utilize, you'll make it more efficient. You'll make those platforms just a lot more beneficial for yourself and for your business. And then you can even, turn a profit on them. So these are amazing logistic networks too. I should say when I opened a restaurant 15 years ago, if you wanted to do delivery, you basically had to hire somebody, pay out basically, pay full salary for someone who is only going to be, for deliveries that you were only going to have during like your peak hours. It was kind of hard to find people and to manage all that. So these really, even though they've gotten a bad rap, I should say, and they're expensive, but learn to leverage them, and having your own app and beefing up your first party presence. And obviously we talked about websites, apps, but that's having like sending out emails, doing all that stuff. And then once you have your app, doing push notifications as well. So all these strategies together are basically going to give you the tools you need to be able to leverage those networks just a lot more efficiently, which will have just a much more positive ROI on your business. So thanks so much for joining us. Hope you learned something about just delivery and how you can maybe do better on those networks. And yeah, we're here every week, and we're looking forward to the next one. So have a good week, everybody. Bye now.